Hello, hello. Welcome back to the 100 Jobs Project. I'm your host, Katie Monson-Gant, and I am so thrilled for today's interview. We are talking with someone who works in interior design and architecture. Welcome to the show, Jenn Pearson.
Thank you.
Jenn, do you want to tell us just a little bit about yourself, where you're from,
Yeah.
what you do?
Born and raised in Houston, Texas. I went to high school in Baltimore, Maryland. Then I went to Virginia Tech for college, which is what led me to the DC area. I was joking earlier that every person in DC knows at least 5 people that went to tech. That's where all of my connections are. So I got my first job here in 2013, and I like to call myself an interior architect. So I am a licensed interior designer, but I practice in the commercial industry. So I do offices, primarily law firms, that kind of thing. I work with my clients from schematic design in the beginning with visioning, what do they want the space to look like? And then I take that all the way through construction to see it completed and come to life.
I really appreciate you making the call out that you are an interior architect and sharing that whole process. Because sometimes I think about design and I think about, okay, you're going to make the inside of my space look beautiful. But how amazing is it to be involved from the very beginning before a space is even being built? Like there's so much that goes into that. And I am so excited to learn about that. And then, of course, you've got the design eye, so you can make the interiors look pretty too.
Yes. It's more than HGTV. I think that's the biggest thing. People hear interior design and they think like, oh, Joanna Gaines. And like,
right.
I wish I was Joanna Gaines.
Don't we all?
It's more than just picking out a paint color, hanging curtains, picking out beautiful pillow covers. So I say the architect side of thing because I have to work with engineers, structural, county permits, that kind of thing.
Yeah, it gets really technical. And I mean, when I think about someday, if I hope to build my dream home, like I want to work with someone like you who can help actually like design the space too, to be functional and beautiful, not just the interiors. I would love to give, both myself and our listeners today a little bit of a chance to get to know you. So I've got a few questions if you're down.
Yeah, absolutely.
But just going to start with a heavy hitter.
Okay.
Would you rather have, you can only have one of these. Would you rather have your dream kitchen or a dream bathroom?
I mean, I have little things I would want in each. And it's hard because I think the bathroom is truly an escape for every female. I cook every single night for my family.
Mm-hmm.
So if I can make a dream kitchen, that'd be really great. I have ideas. But I think dream bathroom because that's my me time. That's my escape. And I would love a lot of storage for all the products that I like to try. I love hair masks. I love makeup and skincare and all of that stuff. So I think dream bathroom. And every single girl will now want this after I say it, but my dream is to have this little slot in the baseboards where you can just sweep all of your hair and then it gets vacuumed up. You don't have to deal with it.
My jaw is on the floor.
I know. I've experienced it once in my life, and there's probably 9 or 10 living in Texas still. I will never forget it.
That had never crossed my mind, but I am obsessed with that. I mean, thank you. And also, no, thank you, because I have another thing to add to my dream home list.
Yeah.
Now, have you traveled anywhere that has really influenced how you think about architecture and design?
I think I lived in Key West for 4 years, and I think that just spoke to me. I love color, love color. And I think a lot of the commercial space can be very whitewashed and gray. Pantone's color of the year being white is just, that's a whole other podcast.
Yes.
But so the seeing everything in Key West of how they weren't afraid of the maximalism, they weren't afraid of color. Obviously, my clients aren't doing pink houses.
Sure.
But I think that just kind of influenced me not to be shy of color, to push the limits a little bit and not take yourself so seriously. And so a lot of my clients are law firms, like I mentioned.
Mm-hmm.
There's always an opportunity to inject a little fun. So whether that's a tile in the bathroom, one of my clients right now, it looks like a spa. I'm so excited. It's a law firm. There's this watercolor tile on 3 walls. And then we have this white, wavy, large format tile on the 4th wall. And it is so, oh my gosh, it's just, I want to live in that bathroom. It's park my dream bathroom, I guess. But so I think Key West influenced color. I've traveled through Spain and Europe, and it's same there, where you see that color injected, and there's a lot of handmade detail. So just love and care put into that. It's not just cookie cutter. So maybe it's a recessed light next to a television where you're going to have a Zoom call so that the lighting is better. Or if it's a pendant light that looks like something you would have in your kitchen because it's a bit more ornate, it has some details on it. Maybe it has a woven material. That I love that. And that was kind of pulled from, like, when I was in Amsterdam, I saw a couple of just like random things when that was forever ago, but you never forget where you travel. And there's still many places on my bucket list. So I'm ready for more inspiration to come. I need it. We haven't even taken a honeymoon. So,
Really? Do you have any like destinations in mind for that?
Greece.
Okay. Yeah.
100%. It's always been something that I've been amazed by. I think the architecture is one, but it's just the views. I love the water, and a sunrise is a happy place for me. So if I could experience that in Greece, top notch.
That sounds amazing. Greece has been on my list for a long time. I actually took like a couple years of Latin in high school randomly.
Yes, I did too.
There you go. I love when I run into people who did that too, because it's such a random thing.
It's so random, but it helped me on the SATs. I think that
Oh, totally. One more question. I'm asking this to everyone that is on the podcast, because I feel like it gives a good little snapshot of what you're doing on the day to day. And this is, what's in your work bag?
Okay. I have it right here.
Oh, very cute bag, by the way.
Luckily, I took the diapers out of it. I just got these really cute new Pilates socks.
Ooh, those are adorable. Oh, so cute, and like holiday themed too.
That definitely is. That's good.
For anyone who's just listening and not watching, they're like these cute pink, stripy,
Lucky Honey
bow socks. Lucky Honey is the brand. Okay.
A tape measure. That's very fitting. And a beautiful, like, nice black leather cover.
Yeah, that is a cute one. Yeah, you usually think of tape measures as like the...
Yeah, clunky and ugly. No, this has to go in my purse and not beat everything up inside of it. So the leather is pretty
nice little leather case on it.
Yeah. Okay, this is another very design thing. This is a metal sample.
Okay.
It's a control sample because I do this detail around TVs where it's like a blackened stainless steel metal. And I'm very picky about what it looks like. So I always have this on me to give to the contractors to be like, no, this is what it needs to match.
Yeah. I can't say that I have any sort of material samples in my bags. So
it's not normal. This is like this is a nightmare in here. Okay. This is the last, because I love skincare. This is the Summer Fridays jet lag mask. Because of the heat and everything, my skin gets very dry. And so I love Summer Fridays to just like put it on your dry patches to like moisturize your skin or your hands, like whatever you need.
I love it. Well, and it's cute too. So if you can have like a cute little thing in your bag, I feel like just having something that is beautiful is a pick me up. And yeah, I mean, you're a designer, so obviously you get it.
Yeah. It's nice.
All right. Well, thank you for sharing what's in your work bag. I feel like that was a really helpful insight into kind of your day to day, but also who you are. And I think it's fun too, because you go about your everyday business and you see people on the street and you don't always recognize that like they are human, they are like you, they also like skincare.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of fun to just be able to relate a little bit and also get a sense of what you're doing on the day to day and what you need to be prepared for. On that happy note, let's talk about your job.
Okay, yeah.
Where did the dream to go into interior architecture come from?
So growing up in Texas, lots of big, beautiful homes. And I'm sure they have this everywhere, but it used to be like a beautiful home tour where you could just, go and visit multiple houses and see the design.
Like the parade of homes, is that
what? Yeah, just like that.
Okay.
Yeah. And I remember a core memory growing up with my family doing that. And that's kind of where I realized, wow, I really love the details. I love creating this. I always viewed that as architecture. And this is where that distinction came in for me in particular. When I was applying to colleges, I knew I wanted three things. I wanted Greek life, football, and an architecture program. Strike three, I found Virginia Tech, and absolutely fell in love with it. I applied to architecture school, the College of Architecture and Urban Studies, and I did not get in, but I got into the college as like an undecided major.
Hmm.
And I was like, okay, like I'm still going to go. It's my dream school. I don't know what it's ranked right now, but Virginia Tech's architecture program, the College of Architecture, is top 3 in the nation.
Wow.
This was back then. I can't quote, anything now. It was the best thing that happened to me that I didn't get in, because I realized what I actually loved, what I actually associated design with in my mind was interiors. So I then applied to the College of Architecture and Urban Studies, where they had landscape, graphic, interiors. It's kind of that, umbrella of majors.
Okay.
I realized I wanted to do interior design. So I applied to the summer program. I got into interior design. I was able to advance on to second year. And then I graduated on time, fortunately, with my undergrad in interior design. That helped me realize that it wasn't just like looking at a building and seeing the structure of it, seeing the windows and the brick, or if it's a skyline building, seeing the pretty glass facade and all of that. It's the inside. It's how you feel when you walk into a space. That is what I was drawn to with design, is how you can walk into a Scandinavian look and, it's beautiful bleached wood, white open ceilings, very minimalistic, and you feel one way. And then you could walk into another space, maybe it's a dark, moody ceiling, and you can feel something completely different. That is what I loved about it. And so not getting into architecture led me to research more and realize it was interior design that I did want to do. And then we kind of had to figure out residential versus commercial. I thought DC seemed like a great city. I liked the location. And that's where my contacts were, people that I had met through my program at school. They would come in and kind of talk to us about their firm, a lot of alumni coming back. And so that's where I realized, okay, I really like the office space, which surprised me because I went through beautiful parade of homes to offices. Yeah. It sounds super boring, but being able to take a company's brand and inject that into the space. And I think there's some crazy stat, like you spend 75% of your work week at your office or at your job. Different now, I guess, since there's a lot of remote jobs, but you spend such a large chunk of your time doing your job. And I wanted to make that space where you go to work enjoyable. And each company is different with, not just their morals, but the culture that they try to create and inspire. And some is, more fun, like a Google. They have putting greens. And I've designed a bocce board inside, not a bocce board, a bocce court inside an office before. That was a very unique project. It was really cool.
Yeah.
And so I wanted to create that where you can go into your office space and you like it. You don't hate it. And making sure it's sustainable and ergonomic. So the task chair that you sit in, that is very carefully thought out. And there are hundreds that you can choose from. And so having to narrow it down to what task chair you are going to sit in, that's part of my job.
Yeah, that is really interesting. It's so great to see, like you think about office buildings, in the 80s, 90s, even early 2000s.
There's a lot of ugly offices.
Right. My brain also just goes to like cubicles, fluorescent lighting. But in the past, like 15 to 20 years, I feel like there have been so many more companies that have started investing more in their spaces. And like you said, you spend so much of your life in the office. Why are those spaces not beautiful and functional?
And they're foam rooms now, and lactation rooms, wellness rooms. We're creating shower rooms like my law firm client I was talking about earlier, so that people coming into the office, like they have those comforts of home with them and just different spaces to do your work. I think that's one thing that the millennials and Gen Z have brought in is we like working anywhere. We can work from anywhere. We worked through COVID. So I can sit on a sofa with my laptop, or I can sit at a conference table. And sometimes it's nice to change up that space of where you're working. And so supplying that for my clients. And sometimes we have to push them on it and be like, as the designer that you have hired, we recommend this.
Yeah. It's tough to push back, but it's a great skill to have and ultimately makes the collaborative process that much more impactful.
Yes. And it's why, honestly, every single space is different. I mean, they might have blue accents. I'm so tired of doing navy blue accents, but you make it unique every single time. And they're still different every space, even if it's the same blue fabric.
Yeah. We got a little bit of the journey like from studying interior designing in college, but I'm curious, what were those classes like? And did you have any sort of like architecture focus in there? Because I know that you work on the structural side a little bit too. So I'm trying to piece together how that works.
That's actually a good thing to bring up. So I think the biggest differentiator between interior architect and architect is they have to know structures.
Okay.
There's a class in college that they have to take. I think it's literally called structures. That's how they make the building itself, the core and the shell, safe. I cannot do that.
Okay.
I do not want to do that. When I work with structures, I work with structural consultants. So if I'm putting anything in like an operable partition, so if you look a large conference and you want to open the wall up all the way and move it off to the side, I have to work with a structural consultant to make sure that the steel going in for that, it's structurally sound in the building. I basically take the core and shell of a building, and that's when I go in. But classes wise, that's probably the biggest one. I think there was like a joke that if you didn't pass structures in college, then you weren't going to graduate as an architect. But I took some furniture classes, just learning about, the different furniture designers, Eames, Knoll, all of that. I took some art history classes. That was big on just knowing, the different design styles over the year. Like Art Deco is a big one where like the glass bricks, everyone knows that. Shaker style, all of that. So my classes outside of my studio was 3 days a week. I can't remember the hours. It was like a 4 or 5 hour class where we would do our drawings, do our renderings, that kind of thing. I took a class about the computer program Revit that I use. That's how we do all of our documentation, make our floor plans. We do our renderings, our 3D views, elevations, that kind of stuff. So they helped prepare. Honestly, that Revit class was the biggest because it's not something you can just learn or pick up like Word or Excel. It's so nitty gritty, and my firm will not hire you unless you know Revit. That's big.
That was something that always kind of scared me a little bit if I ever thought about going into a field like that. Is I don't feel like I'm like a particularly strong drawer or sketcher. There's probably a better word than that. Or with like design software, which I'm assuming that Revit is very similar to that.
If you can't draw a stick figure, that is not going to limit you from becoming a designer.
Okay, good to know.
So it used to be where you had like these big drafting tables, and gosh, I had that even. And you have your protractor and the big T-square, like the T ruler that moves, and you would have to draw your plans out. Thank God that is not the case anymore because we change things like constantly. So yeah, you could not be able to draw a straight line and you could still become a designer.
That's really good to know. And I hope that is helpful info for people listening, because I know I am not the only one out there who is like, well, I couldn't do this. I'm counting myself out because I'm not really strong with design software or with.
I actually didn't even have a portfolio when I applied to colleges. Part of that is because I don't think my high school was prepared for someone like me to go into a career like that. So I was never kind of, helped along the ways. I'm sure some colleges require portfolios, but I didn't have one.
And then did you go move into internships or anything from there? Or is it straight into the work field?
I did an internship my senior year of high school. That was a graduation requirement. I went to an all-girls school in Baltimore. So we had, interesting things
Uniforms?
that we do. Uniforms, which they were so great.
Wait, did you actually like the uniforms?
I did.
Okay.
I did. Okay. We had light blue skirts and then white polos. They were cute.
Very cute. Very East Coast.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And then I did an internship the summer between my junior and senior year. And that was so crucial to actually get a taste of the workforce and what it was like. You're not rushing into class in sweatpants. You are
Mm-hmm.
getting up and getting somewhere on time, and you're professional and ready for the whole day. And, sitting and being in a space for 9 hours can be a lot. And so that really helped me learn what I was getting into, but also get really excited because be able to see the collaboration happening between everyone and then being on a site and seeing it get built. It was like, okay, yes, this is exactly what I want to do. This is why I am doing it.
How amazing that you were able to have that internship and have it be reassuring to you that like, okay, I'm on the right path. I am here doing what I love. Now, did that internship help lead you to your first job out of college, or how did that come about?
Yes and no. So when I graduated college, there was a bit of a recession in the design world. The economy kind of gets hit differently with design. Everything that had just happened was then trickling down where no one was expanding, no one was building, so there were no projects for us. During COVID, everything paused, and right when it was over, we weren't getting as much work. Now it's becoming more renovations in place or moving to another office location because they're downsizing because not everyone's in the office every day. So now we're seeing more of an uptick. So when I graduated from college, my interior class was like 27 people. I think maybe 5 of us had jobs. So I became a full-time nanny, which was probably the best job I've ever had in my life. It was amazing. I love them so much still. But I kept in touch with my contacts. So I would email constantly. I'd rework my resume and portfolio, send it again. And I've reached out to someone who was in Baltimore, and she connected me with someone in DC whose firm was just purchased by another, and he was a Virginia Tech alum. So I used my high school resources with their alumni to hit my Virginia Tech alumni because they knew each other. It was like you were scratching and clawing to get a job. I got an interview, but they're like, hey, we just bought this company and took on a bunch of people, so we're not hiring right now. And I was like, okay, that's fine. It was my dream job. And then maybe 2 months later, they called me again. I'm on vacation with the family I'm working for. They're like, can you come in tomorrow for like another interview? I was like, I can in 3 days. So I went in, and then next day, they hired me. So working those connections through that internship then led me to my first official job in the design world out of college. And then the job I'm in now was through all of the contacts that I've made in the industry and kept in touch with. It's a very tight-knit community where everyone knows everyone and everything.
Yeah, I mean, it starts to get a little bit niche, especially as you start specializing in corporate office type things. And then you just get a little more and a little more niche. And pretty soon, yeah, you're in this world and everyone is tightly connected. So sometimes you have to claw to get there. But it sounds like once you're there.
You're there. And it proved to me how those alumni relations are so important.
And, we've talked like in other interviews that I've done, a lot of people end up landing their jobs through connections. And I feel like you say that on the surface and it's like, oh, well, you had a connection, you got your foot in the door, it must be a Nepo baby, but it's rarely like that.
Yeah.
It's more so, like you said, like there's alumni, there's people who like, you more like get acquainted with people, and that is what ends up working, right?
My mom's a 3rd grade or 2nd grade teacher, and my dad was in advertising. So I had no connections to the design world at all.
We've kind of talked about this in terms of you had alumni that were able to help support you and connect you with jobs. But just in general, was there like a teacher or a mentor or an experience that you feel like really helped you?
When I started in the workforce, not necessarily a mentor, but your coworkers really become your family. And I had one of my old coworkers, she was leaving DC and moving to California. And she wrote me a note kind of encouraging me to make sure I was always following my passions and pursuing what I wanted. And I wish I'd listened to that more closely because, the workforce is challenging. And it was a really great lesson in loyalty, that your loyalty should always be to yourself, not to the company that you work for. And I think that was probably a defining moment that I didn't realize was happening at the time. I still have that letter, and I looked back at it recently, and I was like, wow, that was just staring me in the face, and I didn't even realize it. In every single industry, there's a hierarchy of things. And you start at the bottom, and you have to prove yourself and work your way up. And sometimes you're the favorite, and that goes a little bit faster. And then you get knocked down, and then you got to become the favorite again and prove yourself, work your way up. So I experienced that a lot. I still experience that.
Yeah. Well, and sometimes when you're experiencing it, it feels like you're the only one out there experiencing it. But the fact of the matter is most people are out there in the exact same boat, and we're all just at different points and being built up and knocked back down a few steps.
I still have imposter syndrome some days. I was talking with one of my younger coworkers. I think she's like 5 years into the industry now. And she was like, oh my gosh, I have so many red lines, which is where people will mark up your drawings in red, giving you edits and changes. And I was like, hey, let me show you something. I turned my screen and I was like, I have just as many red lines as you do. I've been in this industry for 13-ish years. I have just as many as you do. You're not making mistakes. You're learning as you go. I'm like, my screen is bleeding just like yours. She's like, oh my gosh, I feel so much better. I'm like, you're never perfect. You're going to learn every single day. And I was like, I will show up in front of clients and be like, I have 13 years of experience. This is why you should hire me. And I'm still inside, do I deserve to be here?
Well, something that I have started to realize and think more about over the past several years, especially, is those red lines are, sometimes actual really good guidance that people with more experience, everyone would give you the same answer. But some of them are also really opinion based, not necessarily just in your work, but in, I think, anyone's work. You can get feedback, and sometimes that feedback is clear cut and helpful and strategic. And other times you could go to 6 different people and they would tell you 6 different things, and none of them would necessarily be wrong, and none of them would necessarily be right. But you have to find a balance of trying to find the suggestions and feedback that are actually strategic and helpful, and also finding a place for your own self-expression and your own ideas, because that's where whatever is special that you bring to the table, that's where that lies.
If I was designing an office one way, my teammate could design it completely differently. And that's not to say one is right and one is wrong.
Well, and now you've also moved around a fair bit too, in the time that you've been working. I'd have to imagine that presented its own challenges.
Yeah.
Can you speak to that a little bit?
Never imagined that my life would go this way. I was like a lot of millennials going on the dating apps in DC. Well, gosh, I guess Gen Z and everyone else is on it now too. I act like it's so antiquated. I was on Bumble. And I met my now husband on Bumble. Turns out he's in the Coast Guard. So didn't realize that when I swiped on him, but
super cool. But
I was like, cool. This is your whole career, but hook, line, sinker, he had me. So he got an assignment in Key West. He actually asked me to move with him before he knew where this assignment was going to be. And I said, yes.
That's a big, scary commitment.
And then he was like, we're going to Key West. And I was like, woo! Let's go.
There's boats there. I'm down. Yeah.
So that was in 2019. So pre everyone working remotely. So I had to go to my company at the time and say, hey, listen, this is either my 2 weeks notice or your 2 weeks notice that I'm going to be remote in Florida. They took a chance on me because I hit them with the stat that it saves you money to keep a current employee on than to have to hire someone new and train them. So they were like, okay, let's try it out. It worked out really well. It was really, really hard for me because my job is so much boots on the ground, literally, for construction. And at the time, we were always meeting clients in person to have the different presentations for, this is your space plan. These are your finishes. This is the wood floor. Let's go to a furniture company and sit in the different chairs. Do you this lounge chair? Do you like this task chair? So a lot of that changed. I started doing a lot more just construction documents and redlining and creating things. And that was really difficult, but I was ready for a change. The designers do not get paid very well when you are first out of college. So
Mhm.
I was blogging. I was a fashion influencer. I was doing that as a side hustle. And so I would wake up, go to the gym, do my day job, and then go to some kind of event for a PR company or a blogging thing. And then on the weekends, I was shooting looks for my blog, the entire weekend. So it was a very go, go, go nonstop. When we moved to Key West, it was a chance for me to slow down and really focus on what I wanted in life. Blogging got a little bit better because people like to see vacations more than they do what are my office looks. And so
Sure.
that was a nice source of income as well. COVID happened. Everything became remote. It worked out a lot better. And
Yeah.
then military, we move again. So we were there for 4 years. We moved to Princeton. I figured let's try residential for a bit. Spoiler, I hated it.
Okay.
My husband was in Princeton getting his master's, and I tried that out. I hated it. I was doing PR and blog Instagram stuff for some boutiques. Decided I need to get back into the industry because we
Mhm.
found out that we would be back in DC. So moving a lot. I will probably have to continue to move. It's a pivot because, like I said earlier, like I'm on job sites a lot. That's my day
Yeah.
to day is always looking different. And that's one thing that I love about it is I'm not sitting in front of a computer all day drafting. I'm
Yeah.
on a job site, or I'm in a client meeting, or I'm in the office just working with my team and enjoying them, or I'm at a furniture with a furniture dealer looking at things.
Well, I was gonna ask you to, walk me through a work day, but it sounds like you almost need like a work week since you're doing so many different
Yes, I
things.
have 4 projects in construction right now. So Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, I'm on different construction sites at 9:30, probably there till around 11:30, and then I come back home, and that's kind of when I do all of my computer work and crank that out, or I have new project meetings and stuff like that. So
Okay.
I'm only in the office Tuesdays and Thursdays. My company did downsize their square footage. We still have like 120 DC employees, but we only have enough seats for 70. And so our different studios have core days. So
Okay.
Monday, Wednesday, Friday, I'm working from home, but I'm on different job sites.
Are you like hard hat?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. So you got the hard hat, you got like all your gear
My
on.
PPE.
Okay. Okay. No, that's busy. And so what are you doing then? Like when are you waking up? When are you going to sleep? What are you doing when you're off the clock? Like what does that look like for you?
That's where all of my worlds kind of explode together. So, husband being in military, I have a 1.5-year-old, and then I have a 9 to 5. So my alarm goes off at 6:30. TBD if I actually roll out of bed at that point depends on if my daughter woke up in the middle of the night or not.
Mhm.
She usually wakes up around 7:30. So I do breakfast with her, play with her, get her ready for the day. And then our nanny arrives at 9. And then I'm in the car and I'm going to my job site, or I'm commuting into the office, or I'm sitting at my computer working. And then she leaves at 5, and I am back home by 5, playing with her. At 6 o'clock, it's dinner time. So I'm usually cooking dinner around 5:30. Dinner is at 6. Then she gets her bath at 6:30. And then we do bedtime routine at 7, and then lights are out by 7:30. And usually around then is when my husband comes home from work.
Wow. Doing that all on your own is really, really busy.
I have a lot of respect for single parents. I solo parent a lot, but my husband's job is very, very demanding. It requires a lot of his time, and he has another team to support as well. And I hate the word, but sacrifice. We
Yeah.
do both for each other. And I'm able to still have my career while being a military spouse and being a mom. That's required a bit more juggling and learning from me, but I wouldn't trade it for the world.
They get you. Those little babies, falls into you. Yeah.
It's hard. When she goes to sleep, I'm back online working. When my alarm goes off at 6:30, I didn't mention, I check my email. That's like the worst thing you can do is that blue light screen in your face. But that is the first thing I do is check my emails, answer some emails to just kind of prep myself for the day. I try really hard not to be on my phone around my daughter. So it's usually out of my hands. So my coworkers know from 5 until 7:30, I'm not reachable, but I can be back online at 7:30 after. And I'm usually in the car at 9, so they can call me if needed when I'm going somewhere.
Yeah.
But so my morning to night, I know how stressful and like chaotic that sounds. I am able to squeeze a Pilates class in there every now and then. So
You had the socks, so I knew there was some hope that you had some time for yourself here and there.
going to the gym is my therapy. So
Truly, you have to find some time for yourself, especially when you have a really busy work week
yeah,
and you're juggling
yeah.
different family demands.
Before I had a kid, I was going to different happy hours and events that my industry was putting on after work. And that was so great. There's so many things to do and ways to meet people in the design world here. And, fun. There's like mahjong classes that you can go to, or there's like a make your own little mini Christmas tree thing going on. And that's just so you meet the reps of the products that you will then specify for your projects. So it's a great way to get acclimated into the industry and meet people who you'll be working with in the future. And I miss all of that, but this is my mom time. This is my mom phase because she's only this little for so long. I tell myself that a lot.
There are definitely seasons and you have to enjoy where you're at. Otherwise, what's the point?
And that'll be different when my husband gets his next assignment.
It's so relatable with having a little one. It's such a huge life change and you really do have to figure out how to like shift everything and like re-navigate your whole life.
Yeah.
And I feel like it can be really, really hard, especially in the beginning, but you get better at it.
One thing I would recommend to anyone, regardless of the career that you want to go into, is look at the women above you. So if women in the power positions above you don't have kids and don't have a family and they don't prioritize that, if that's what you want, it may not work at that company. That was a big thing I realized when I took my current job is my previous job didn't have those moms in power. My boss is a mom, and that right there, my company is 70% female. And so that was a green flag for me because I needed to have an example and see firsthand that it could be done.
Totally. I feel like that's such an important distinction is looking at the woman above you in your company, because like you might see women in your company that do not have the lifestyle that you want. That doesn't mean that that's the way that the whole industry is. But sometimes you like think about that and you're like, oh, well, I can't do this long term because these people aren't doing it. No, it just means that you might need to open your eyes and look around a little bit and figure out.
And you can be the mover and shaker, but I didn't want to be that person.
I totally feel you there. And I think there are so many people there who also want to balance their interests and their families and other just personal things that they have going on. And so it's helpful to hear how other people are doing it.
And my company still gets their 40 plus hours from me. I probably get 45 to 50 hours a week.
Well, kind of along those lines, is this a field where bonuses are like really kind of expected and given out?
At least for the companies that I know kind of the inner workings of.
Gotcha.
In years past, when our industry has kind of hit that recession, there have not been bonuses. They're not large bonuses, we're hitting 4 figures. So that's pre-tax. And I think it probably depends on, where you are in the company, what that looks like. I said this earlier, but I think designers should be paid more. It's taken me a long time to get salary-wise. It's taken me 13 years to get to where I am. And every single raise, bonus, promotion I have asked for, I have had to advocate for myself. I think I've only been turned down once. So that's not bad, but you pick and choose. Like I'm strategic with it. You can't just ask for $1 million overnight. we get bonuses, but it's not a job that you go into for the money.
Okay. Yeah.
I'm in this career because I love what I do. And now I love my salary. But 13 years later.
That's a good long time to be working for it.
That is like the hardest part of this job, is feeling like your salary does not match all of the work and time and effort that you do.
No, that's interesting to hear you say that, because even like researching for our conversation, it really seemed like ranges were all over the map, like pretty low for someone who's maybe starting, but it seemed like there was quite a bit of opportunity for growth.
Like if people are doing their own research after listening to this, it's not going to be accurate at all, because this industry is so small that if you were to leave a job and write a Glassdoor review, everyone would know who wrote that review and who reported that. Even if you have no username, you don't even list your company, like everyone would just figure it out. Yeah. So on the internet, you're not going to see it.
I mean, are you comfortable sharing what you made when you first started out?
$40,000. That was living in the city.
Oh, in the city too. Yeah. That was, I mean, I think that was around my first official salary too. But that was, I was in Utah, which is a lot different than DC.
Cost of living. Yeah. That's why it was such a brutal one, the cost of living. And comparing my salary with two of my best friends who live in New York, I don't know who was more surprised, myself or them. They were like, Jen, that's all you make? And I was like, yeah. And then they told me theirs, and I was like, oh, that's 3 times what I make.
Working in the same field?
No.
Okay. I was going to say.
Because I was so out of touch with like what other industries made that like I took it as Bible. Like what I was making is like what it was.
It's one of those conversations that can be tricky and scary. I was going to say, I don't know why it's scary. I do know why it's scary, but it's just like too much to like wrap into one little bow. But
their self-worth with a number, and that's a dangerous game to play.
Totally. Could not be further from the truth. Yeah. Your worth is not your salary.
Yeah.
Shifting gears just a little bit, I would love to know if there have been any particularly memorable moments or in your career or projects that you've worked on that you've been really proud of or excited by.
Memorable. One of my first projects out of school, I think I was maybe 2 or 3 years out of school, and it was a very small space. And not only did the photo of it land on the cover of a magazine, which is really cool. that was a big moment. But I learned why offices, like the glass fronts, will have distraction markers on it, because a man walking through the space walked straight into the glass and broke his nose.
Wow.
Blood everywhere. So that was critical for 2 reasons. I've also just seen I've had projects win some awards, and that's the coolest because the award ceremonies are in front of my industry. So they're other firms. Those are my old coworkers. They're my colleagues, not, by who pays your salary, but they're all kind of my colleagues in the industry. And so we've all submitted our different projects that we've poured our heart and soul into. And then they get kind of put up against each other of, who's, premier award winner and all of that. But it's a really cool moment that everyone gets to see what you did and ooh and ah over it a bit, or look at something and be like, I really like that detail. I want to recreate that or something. I did another project where their logo was on a reclaimed wood wall out of nails. So we had all of the nails go in, and it spelled out their slogan. And that was so weird and so cool. And it was for a construction company. So that was really cool.
It sounds like there's a lot of creativity that comes into play, and you are given some leeway to do some really cool things.
Yeah. I mean, the client hires you and they trust you. There are times when I hate a project and I hate a space and I hate the client, but I think that's just reality. Everyone has that part of their job that they don't like. And the good thing is it then ends. It ends and I get to move on to the next one.
Amazing. Well, I have loved chatting with you today. If there's someone who's considering a similar career or, pivoting to work in interior architecture, what advice would you give them?
The best advice I would give is to know exactly what you want to do in design and why you want to do it, so that you then carry that with you as you execute, that path forward.
Know your why and hold on to it.
Yeah.
I love it. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I
Um,
appreciate it, Katie.
Amazing. Well, yeah, it's been so fun to talk. And I wish you success
Thank
in
you.
your career, wherever life takes you, whether
Yeah.
that's Florida or back to New Jersey or
No, not New Jersey. Back to Key West. That's the hope.
thank you so much for joining us here today. We'll be back next Wednesday with another episode. And in the meantime, you can find some extra behind the scenes content on Instagram at 100 Jobs Project. You can contact us at 100jobsproject.com. And we look forward to seeing you next time. If you like this, hope that you will support the show. Maybe take a screenshot or share the episode on your Instagram story. Leave us a review. That is the best way to get in front of other people. Again, you can find Jenn if you want to see more of what she's doing at Jenn Raj on Instagram, and we'll link that in the show notes. So see you next time.